Who protects victims and who protects power? Congressman Jared Moskowitz pressed Nigel Farage, who was in Washington as a witness, about the so-called birthday book and the broader question of whether powerful names tied to Jeffrey Epstein are being hidden, redacted, or swept aside.
Mr. Farage, thanks for being here, coming across the pond. I'm sorry to hear you're leaving the hearing early.
Well, it's not a question of leaving the hearing early, but I do have other things to do. Yes.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay. Where are you going?
It's not lunch, I promise you.
It's not lunch. You're not going to have lunch.
I don't think so, no.
No lunch.
Sad, isn't it?
You're meeting with the president?
I can't remember what the schedule is. It's possible.
You can't remember if you're meeting with the president.
I'm being very polite, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing this afternoon, but I can assure you that...
But there's the free speech hearing. You're not going to tell me what you're doing this afternoon?
Free speech is one thing. Discretion's quite another, too.
Okay. All right, so you're leaving to have lunch with the president. So, Mr. Farage, I have a question. Have you heard about the Epstein thing that's going on here?
I have.
You have? What do you think about it?
I'm not going to give comment on anything happening in America. I'm here as a witness.
Perfect.
I'm here as a witness.
I'm
here as a witness for what is happening in the United Kingdom and in the European
Perfect.
Union.
Let me just go through it. So it's been 9 months, right, since we've been meeting in these hearings. We've not had Pam Bondi here, even though we have jurisdiction over the Department of Justice, not Dan Bondi.
The gentleman yield?
Not Kash Patel. I will 100%. We'll go back and forth. Let me just do my thing.
Okay.
And
Well, I'm just going to correct. Kash Patel's coming in I'll give you an extra 10 seconds. Kash Patel, the director of FBI, is coming in 2 weeks, and the Attorney General's coming in 4 weeks.
Fantastic. But still, we're not doing that this week, the week we're having votes on the Epstein thing. So, you know, Pam Bondi gives the influencers, these Republican influencers, a binder. It says Part 1 of the Epstein files. No one of you saw it. It was quite spectacular. The Attorney General then says the Epstein list is on her desk. Then DOJ issues a memo, says there is no list. Then, you have any questions about any of that? We've had no hearings on any of that at all. That, the list is on my desk, then there is no list. Then we gave binders to Republican influencers. This committee said no questions on any of how that transpired at the Department of Justice. Then hold on.
Well, it sounds like you're going to in the next few weeks. So that's a jolly good thing.
Mr. Farage, we can talk soon, but not yet. Okay.
Right.
So then the president comes out and says the whole thing's a hoax. He blasts his own base. He blames Barack Obama. I mean, he hasn't been president for a very long time. Republicans then in committee vote against the release in the Rules Committee. Then Republicans refuse to go back in the Rules Committee because they're getting blasted for their vote, getting crushed by their own base. Congress leaves a day early. Then the administration sends the Deputy Attorney General to meet with Maxwell in jail. He happens to be Trump's former personal attorney. She says something favorable about the president. Miraculously, she gets transferred to a minimum security prison. The president starts talking about how he has the right to pardon her if he wanted to. The leaks to the Wall Street Journal then stop. We come back from break. We have the Massey petition. Comer does a document dump where 97% of these documents are already public. How long has he had those documents? Why hasn't he released them for the last 6 weeks? Does it the day of the vote. Then Republicans drop a non-binding resolution trying to kill the Massey discharge petition. The White House said passing the Massey discharge petition is a hostile act. Wow. That's a lot of distraction and deflection and misinformation. Wait, passing a discharge petition to release the Epstein files, the White House said would be a hostile act. Nope, we have no questions about that. But why? Why is it that we're spending so much political capital to keep this list from coming out? You think the list should come out? You think we should know the people who dealt with Mr. Epstein, Mr. Farage?
I thought I was coming to a hearing on free speech, not process.
Oh, well, listen, but here's the good...
It sounds like you're discussing process.
No. Do you think the list should come out?
I have no opinion on it. I don't know at all.
So we have victims that were sexually abused by potentially people in power, and we don't know who's on the list.
I'm very happy.
Hold on, Mr. Farage. We don't know who's on the list. We don't know who's on the list. We don't know if the president is or is not. I'm not going to say he is or isn't. I'm just going to say these are weird behaviors. We don't know that there aren't other people in Congress that are on the list, right? We have no idea. Do you think the list should come out? You think people in power should be held to account for these victims who have been sexually abused and assaulted? You think the list should come out?
I think that I'm very happy to come to a different hearing where you talk about legal process.
Okay.
But today,
Will the gentleman yield for a quick question?
Were you
aware that he has already called for the Epstein file to be released? It has been reported that he has called for it to be released.
Oh yeah, right here, just to refresh your memory.
Yeah, but it's- yeah,
I
yes.
happen to have this.
But that's not
How
what
random.
But that is not. Look, you can ask me if you like about
Do you agree
social
with
security
yourself?
policy.
Do you agree with yourself?
We are here to discuss free speech.
Hold on, it's awkward for your lunch after this? Do you agree with yourself?
No, it isn't at all.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'm just curious. This committee has jurisdiction over the
Gentleman's
Department of
time.
Justice.
Yeah.
Why have we allowed Comer to cover this up for the last couple of months?
As I said,
why is this committee not
I
taking
said 6 weeks
jurisdiction?
ago that we will have the FBI director in, we will have the attorney general in, and we are doing that in 2 weeks. You can you can go through that whole list. That whole list, you can do whatever you want to do with, I got lots of questions for the FBI director, including the whistleblower who came forward and told him that Adam Schiff leaked classified information. I want to ask him about that as well as the issues you all want to ask him about. That's why he's coming, so we can ask all these questions and follow the process, as Mr. Farage just talked about.
Mr.
The
Chairman,
gentleman
I
from
mean,
Virginia.
unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent?
I'd like to enter the political article into the record that Mr. Farage said the Epstein file should be released.
Without objection.
That line of questioning mattered because it forced the hearing to move from abstract talk about process to concrete accountability. Did anyone in authority treat these documents as a political plaything instead of evidence that could help victims? Here's the plain factual frame behind the heat. Congress has obtained batches of Epstein-era materials, calendars, notes, ledgers, and a notorious birthday book assembled by Ghislaine Maxwell that contains crude drawings, messages, and, according to news reports, a page that has been linked to former President Trump, which he denies. Those disclosures have set off a partisan tug-of-war over what should be released, how victims' privacy gets protected, and whether anyone with influence is being shielded. This is why a question as blunt as, should the list be public, lands so hard in a hearing room. A few technical but vital distinctions matter when you're sorting through the headlines. 1. A name or a note appearing in Epstein's papers is not the same thing as credible evidence that someone trafficked minors or committed a crime. Investigators have to distinguish between contact information, social calls, and prosecutable involvement, and that legal distinction affects what the FBI and DOJ can publicly say without jeopardizing ongoing investigations or victims' privacy. 2. Calls for full release of material have to be balanced against redacting victims' names and protecting grand jury or classified information. Those are legitimate constraints, but they can't become cover for hiding politically sensitive facts. Moskowitz pushed on both fronts, demanding transparency while insisting victims not be re-traumatized. A big reason this moment feels explosive is the apparent change in tone from some who once demanded disclosure. Before entering government roles, several MAGA-aligned figures loudly promised transparency about Epstein materials and even suggested the files would reveal powerful people. Once in office, or once files were in certain hands, critics say the pace of release slowed, redactions multiplied, and white binders and selective releases created the appearance of staging, giving influencers early access while leaving the broader public in the dark. Moskowitz's line of questioning cut to that theater versus substance problem. Are we seeing a disclosure strategy or a managed political rollout? That's why the birthday book exchange is about more than gossip. If the FBI and DOJ are treating these records purely as levers in a political fight, that weakens public trust and hamstrings investigators who need cooperation from victims and from international partners. On the other hand, if the agencies are genuinely constrained by law, procedure, or the need to keep victims safe, then Congress must use real oversight tools, subpoenas, inspector general audits, and bipartisan discharge mechanisms to create a credible, transparent path forward that the public can trust. What Moskowitz demanded was not theater for its own sake. It was a demonstration that oversight will follow the facts, not the headlines. There's also a human piece that the TV edit often erases. These documents touch survivors, real people who suffered sexual abuse and trafficking. When committee members fight over who sees what first or whether a list exists, the underlying question is whether survivors' accounts will be honored or whether political calculation will re-traumatize them. Responsible transparency means 1. Prioritizing victim safety and support, 2. Redacting identifying details when necessary, and 3. Releasing as much factual material as law and privacy allow in a way that is verifiable and accountable. That balance is hard, but it's the right standard for any inquiry that claims to pursue justice.